Welcome to Answers with Plato, where we take the thoughts you try to ignore and hold them up to the light. You ever notice how you can know what's good for you and still run the other way? You say you want peace, then go start another little war. You say you want love, then pick the one person guaranteed to test your patience. Why do we keep doing that? Maybe it's not bad luck. Maybe it's the part of you you've been pretending isn't there, the one whispering behind every decision. They call it the shadow, and the harder you try to bury it, the deeper it starts driving your life. Tonight, we're not chasing happiness. We're meeting the man who told us to turn around and face what's hiding behind us. Carl Jung, welcome to the cave.
Thank you, Plato. I must admit, the cave looks suspiciously like the human psyche.
Yeah. Low lighting, echoes, and everybody avoiding eye contact. Feels about right. All right, Carl. Let's get to it. You came up with this whole thing. The shadow. What are we actually talking about here? Because folks hear that and think some kind of ghost following them around.
The shadow isn't a ghost. It's the parts of you that didn't get invited to dinner. Everything you hide, deny, or judge in others, that's your shadow. It's the anger you call stress, the envy you disguise as critique, the fear you name standards.
So it's like the stuff we shove in the closet and hope nobody opens at Thanksgiving.
Exactly. And the longer you keep it locked away, the more it starts running the house from inside the walls.
All right, now we're talking hauntings. So how does somebody even see this thing? Because I don't remember meeting mine.
You've met it plenty. Every time you overreact, that's the shadow tapping you on the shoulder. When you can't stand someone for no real reason, that's projection. You're seeing your own denied traits living rent-free in someone else.
That explains half the internet. So when folks are arguing online about who's wrong, they're really arguing with the parts of themselves they don't want to meet?
Often, yes. The world becomes a mirror when the self refuses to look inward.
All right. But say I'm listening right now thinking, cool theory, doc, but I've got rent, kids, and a caffeine problem. How's any of this help in real life today?
Start simple. Notice your reactions. If something or someone hits you harder than it should, ask, what is this showing me about me? Then write it down. Don't try to fix it yet. Just see it. Awareness is the first handshake between you and your shadow.
So, step 1. Stop blaming the world long enough to listen to what it's trying to tell you about yourself.
Precisely. The world is your classroom, and the lessons you resist, repeat.
Man, that line stings in the best way. All right, keep going. I can feel folks leaning in now. Where does this take us next?
To integration, bringing those hidden parts home. Because once you do, you stop fighting yourself and start living as a whole person.
All right, we're getting warm now. Let's talk about how to actually do that.
First, you don't fight it, you meet it. Awareness is like turning on the light. The monsters look smaller once you stop running from the room.
That's true for spiders too.
Exactly. So here's what I tell people. Step 1, pay attention to your triggers. Write down the moments you overreact or shut down. Those are clues, not failures. Step 2, own 1% of what you blame on others. Say, maybe that impatience I hate in my boss lives in me too. Even that tiny ownership opens a door. Step 3, dialogue with it. Imagine that angry, jealous, or scared part sitting across from you. Ask what it's trying to protect. Listen. It usually has a reason, just outdated logic. Step 4, bring the lesson into real life. Apologize. Set a boundary. Try again. Shadow work isn't journaling forever. It's action that proves awareness.
So it's not about perfection. It's about negotiation. Learning to sit at a table with the parts of you that used to throw chairs.
Precisely. You integrate by behaving differently while still feeling the old emotion. That's wholeness in motion.
Feels more like learning to steer the storm instead of hiding from the rain. All right. So if I start catching myself mid-trigger, taking ownership, talking to that inner troublemaker, that's me starting to live integrated?
Yes. And when you do, the energy that used to fuel guilt or denial becomes creativity and strength. You reclaim what was yours all along.
That's the kind of power most people spend a lifetime searching for outside themselves. All right. Now we're speaking language people can use. Let's take this a step further. What happens when you actually start living that way? When your shadow's not the enemy anymore, but part of the team.
When you start living with your shadow instead of against it, life gets simpler, not easier, but clearer. You stop wasting energy on pretending. The mask gets heavy after a few decades.
Yeah. Folks been carrying masks so long they think it's part of their face.
Exactly. In work, you notice you're less afraid of feedback because you already know your flaws. In relationships, you stop expecting someone else to fix the feelings you refuse to face. And when conflict comes, it stops feeling like death. It just feels like growth.
So integration don't turn you into a saint. It just makes you honest enough to stay in the room.
That's a good way to say it. The shadow doesn't disappear. It becomes an advisor. It reminds you when you're lying to yourself or settling for less than your potential.
I like that. Like a tough old coach who never says much, just raises an eyebrow when you start talking nonsense.
Precisely. And that same energy you use to spend hiding becomes creative fuel. You might start painting, building, writing, leading, not to prove anything, but to express what's been locked away.
So the thing we've been scared of, the mess, the emotion, the part we label too much, that's actually the engine.
Yes, it's the fire we were trained to fear. Once you learn to contain it, it becomes purpose.
Man, that's a twist. Spend half your life trying to put the fire out, then realize you were meant to build with it.
Exactly. And when people reach that point, they stop chasing meaning because they start living it.
That right there might be the quietest revolution anyone will ever start. So if integration changes the way we live, how's it change the way we see other people?
When you meet your own darkness, you stop being shocked by other people's. You stop expecting perfection and start recognizing patterns. That's where real empathy begins.
So instead of judging folks for their mess, you just see it. 'Cause you've seen it before, in yourself.
Exactly. Before that, you're reacting. After that, you're relating. You start hearing the pain beneath the behavior.
Yeah, it's wild how much softer life feels when you stop taking everything personal. You realize most people aren't trying to hurt you. They're just running from their own ghosts, same as you were.
And that understanding changes everything. Partners argue less. Parents shout less. Leaders start to listen because projection fades when ownership begins.
That should be on a billboard somewhere. Projection fades when ownership begins. Might save a few marriages too.
It would. Integration gives you humility. You stop playing savior or victim and start standing as an equal.
That's big. 'Cause most of the world's stuck in one of those two roles, either rescuing or complaining. But what you're saying is that maturity is just meeting people eye to eye.
Yes, not above them, not below them, beside them. The shadow humbles the ego and humility reconnects us.
So the more I face myself, the easier it gets to love somebody else. That's funny. People think love's about finding the right person, but maybe it's just about finally meeting yourself first.
That's well said. Until you've met your own shadow, you can't meet anyone fully. You only meet your projections.
Man, that line hits deep. All right, so let's keep going. If meeting your shadow makes you more human with others, how's it change the way you move through the world? Work, purpose, faith, all of it.
When you stop running from your shadow, purpose stops being this mystical treasure hunt. It starts showing up in the ordinary things you already do, but now you do them with honesty.
Yeah, like, instead of wondering what your calling is, you just start showing up fully where you already are.
Wholeness doesn't add something new, it reveals what was there the whole time. You find meaning not because life changes, but because you do.
That's the thing nobody tells you. Meaning's not hiding behind a mountaintop. It's hiding under your habits.
Beautifully said. When you integrate, the work you do becomes an expression of your being, not a disguise for it. A teacher teaches differently. A parent listens differently. A creator creates without the constant need for applause.
And I guess that's the shift, huh? You move from trying to prove yourself to trying to express yourself. Yes.
The ego wants validation. The self wants participation to play its role in the larger story. And the irony is, once you stop chasing significance, your life starts to carry it naturally.
That's a hard pill to swallow for a world addicted to more. But maybe purpose isn't something you chase. It's what happens when you quit running from who you are.
That's precisely it. Purpose is alignment, not ambition. And once that alignment happens, the anxiety that's been humming under everything quiets down.
So peace ain't at the top of the mountain. It's when you finally stop climbing the wrong one.
Well put. And when you get there, you realize life never needed to be perfect, just honest.
All right, Carl. I think people are starting to breathe a little deeper right now. But before we wrap this thing up, let's talk about the traps. The mistakes people make when they try to do this work. The ways the shadow sneaks back in through the side door.
The first trap is what I call spiritual bypassing. That's when people use lofty language to avoid the raw, ordinary pain of being human. They say everything happens for a reason, when really, they're just scared to feel.
Yeah, I've met that guy. You ask him how he's doing, and he says, "The universe is testing my vibration." No, man, you're just sad. Sit down.
Exactly. Healing isn't poetry, it's participation. You have to feel what you avoided, or it stays. The second trap is performing awareness. People start collecting insights like trophies. They can quote every philosopher alive, but can't apologize to their own mother.
Oh, that one stings. A lot of folks think self-awareness is a personality trait instead of a practice.
Yes, real awareness changes behavior, not captions. The third trap is ego inflation. When people start thinking they're above others because they've done the work. But the moment you think you've transcended your shadow, it's already steering the wheel again.
So basically, the shadow loves confidence, especially when it's dressed up as enlightenment.
Precisely. The work is to stay humble, not in words, but in the willingness to keep learning. Integration is a lifelong conversation, not a graduation.
That, right there's the antidote to half the self-help industry. You don't get a certificate for consciousness?
No, you get a life that feels less like a performance and more like a presence.
All right. I like that. Less performance, more presence. So let's end this right. You've given folks a lot to think about, a lot to feel. But before we close the cave tonight, what's the real payoff? What changes when someone truly faces their shadow?
The real payoff is peace. Not the kind where nothing hurts, but the kind where the pain finally makes sense. You stop chasing constant highs. You stop fearing lows. Life evens out because you're no longer running from half of it.
Yeah, it's like you finally sit down inside yourself. No more sprinting between the parts you like and the parts you can't stand.
Exactly. You find strength in softness. You find clarity in the chaos, and the same energy that once fueled anxiety starts building meaning.
So you don't become perfect. You just become real.
Yes, and real is enough. When you integrate the shadow, you realize life was never asking for perfection. It was asking for honesty.
Man, that's it right there. All this time we've been trying to get better, when maybe we just needed to get truer.
That's the journey, from self-image to self-acceptance.
Well, Carl, I appreciate you walking us through the dark tonight. Not everybody's brave enough to turn around and face what's been following them.
Thank you, Plato. You've made the darkness feel a little less lonely.
That's what we do here in the cave, man. We bring a little light to what's been hiding. To everyone listening, the part of you keep running from. That's the part that's been waiting to meet you. Don't bury it. Listen to it. Because the day you make peace with your shadow is the day you stop fighting yourself. This is Answers with Plato. See you next time.